All right, thank you everybody for joining us today. I'm Richard with Chamber Nation, and we have Shauna, the CEO of EZBZ. And as many of you know, we had integrated the EZBZ platform into the Chamber Nation program so that the record management could be automated and that we could customize some things and really make these marketplaces for your chambers really come alive. And she's going to explain to you the program, and I think it's okay if people ask questions along the way. Is that okay with you, Shauna?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so I know people don't want to spend all day here, so we're going to go ahead and get started and go ahead and tell us all. The one thing I might say beforehand is that we have been working with Shauna now for quite a number of months, and Kim has been working with her and her engineering team and our engineering team on some pretty significant integration to make it very easy for all of you. And we've also rolled out an interesting scenario where the Eastern Plumas Chamber of Commerce, the Lake Almanor Area Chamber of Commerce, and the Quincy, California Chamber of Commerce are all located in the same very, very large county, but each individual chamber was not on its own large enough to really facilitate something like this. So what happened is we were able, since all of them were on the Chamber Nation system, we were able to integrate not their Chamber Nation systems, but able to integrate the EZBZ platform into one mega platform to serve the whole entire county. And maybe a little bit later, if there's time, Kim can show you some screenshots of how that marketplace looks on the back end. But anyway, thank you for coming, Shauna, and go ahead and show us EZBZ.
Thank you, Richard. So hi, everyone. It's so nice to be here. So I'll jump right in and explain the concept of EZBZ. So when we started out, we start out from the basics. There's many needs in the neighborhood. At any point, any time, even the people on this call, there's something in your house that's broken and that you haven't looked at for a few months because you don't know who to call or where to start. There may be an event coming up that you need a photographer or a DJ. There may be, a cake or whatever. There may be new season is starting. Some landscaping has to be attended to now. And we thought to ourselves, there's the go-tos. Maybe you have a handyman, and maybe you know a plumber. But what if you wanted an eco-friendly cleaning a business? Or what if you needed, something came up and you needed postcards printed in the next 2 hours? So anything that's a little bit, different than cookie cutter starts to take a lot of energy from us, and users are going online and they're searching and they're calling and they're getting frustrated, and many times we see people going to their Facebook walls and saying, can anyone recommend, and going to friends who are not even living in their own city, in the same city, because they're so frustrated with different solutions online. And this is kind of sometimes how we feel when we have to take care of one of these tasks. So, and the other side, we started looking at local business, and local business is such a dear and important concept for me. I've been working with them for more than 15 years on and especially in the last 5 years, mastering the digital space and how confusing and hard it has become and becoming. And you're thinking of a local business, a handyman in Phoenix or a plumber here, a photographer, and you're saying, how can they survive in this digital world? Because if you're not on page 10, Google says everyone's on page 1. There's a drop-off of 80% to page 2, and then no one's coming to page 3. But most of the small businesses are on page 77 and higher. So where does that leave us? On the other hand, you tell the business, no, be proactive. Every day there's a new platform. Now you need to know Twitter, and then Instagram, and then Facebook. And the poor plumber, really what he needs to know is how to be a great plumber, which he probably is already. He doesn't have to master Pinterest and Instagram and know what to post. And many of these local businesses are not even sure. Not only do they not have the time and expertise on these platforms, but even if they did, what do they post? Like, what can an exterminator post every day to get more traction? And as users, we've started to judge our local businesses by how nice their website is and how active their Twitter accounts are, which makes very little sense. So looking at these two pain points, we said something isn't making sense. We really have to change this. How do we connect between that consumer? Because we started out in saying the consumer needs the local businesses. That's the given. How do we connect between that that consumer that needs to the local businesses, regardless of all this fluff in the middle? Are they on page one? Do they have marketing budgets to advertise or whatever? Just give that consumer a megaphone to the city and say, yell out and say, I need X, Y, or Z, and be connected in real time to the businesses who can meet it. And that's EZBZ. The platform allows users to come in their own words and describe what they're looking for. It knows how to identify, use artificial intelligence to understand the request and match it in real time to all the local businesses who can meet it. And I'll just run through an example. Here's, how the widget looks, and you can say, I'm looking for, this is actually an example we love because you wouldn't think, you would think EZBZ would be for plumbers and carpenters, but many are using us for things like this. I'm looking for a special gift for my wife. I have an anniversary. My budget is $250. Pitch me. Or we're having a christening tomorrow, and we need entertainment. Go ahead and give me ideas who can be this entertainment. And what happens is once the user enters the request, every local business gets the email, and then they reply. Just by clicking reply, they can already go ahead and reply. They don't have to log in. It's very, very simple for a business to receive the lead and reply. It takes them less than 30 seconds, and it only costs them $1. And then they just start conversing. This is what we call real-time commerce. The business doesn't have to upload all his inventory. You say to the business, I'm looking for flowers for my my parents' anniversary, or for my sister's wedding, or for my brother's birthday, and I'm looking to spend $80. I love roses. Send me what you got. And they can reply back with pictures too. And then at the end, EZBZ also facilitates payment if businesses want to accept payments for EZBZ. It could be that simple of, hey, I got the flowers, here's a picture, it's $80, we can deliver it tonight, click. And suddenly every local business can operate as efficiently as an edible arrangement. It could be, it doesn't matter your size, you have this platform that allows you to operate that efficiently. And if payment is transferred, EZBZ just charges a transaction fee to cover credit card costs. Really, our mission is to facilitate these connections and what we call honest connections. There's so many platforms out there that are lead generators that play with the businesses and send them one line of the request, and the business, and then say, pay $10, like the Home Advisor does this, pay $10 to see the rest. And really the rest would just tell the business that it's not what he can do because he's not available tomorrow, or he can't really do the job. With EZBZ, there's none of those games. The business sees the exact lengthy request that was posted, and only if he could really do it and say, oh my God, this is perfect for me. I'm in your neighborhood tomorrow. I can come give you a bid on removing that tree, and that's only when the business to reply, he pays. And again, the mission, like I'm saying, the goal is to empower the consumers, because now it's a lifestyle concierge. It's so easy. It makes everything so simple to find, and it's your one-stop shop. This is where I start. And on the other hand, to empower businesses. But what came out of this is that we said we also want certain businesses to stand out, and it's not necessarily, rating is very important, and EZBZ has a rating mechanism, and it pulls in the businesses' rates and reviews, but also affinity. Do they belong to the chamber? And we give them badges based on where they belong. So, for example, businesses in your chamber are, if I have to, I need a cleaning service, and 2 cleaning services respond, and they both can offer it for $80, or they both can come tonight. What is the next thing I'm going to go to? I'm going to go values-based. I'm going to go affinity-based. And if I see that Chamber of Commerce badge, I'm going to say, I know he belongs to something. This feels. I know that chamber. It's my community chamber. It's important to me. I'm going that route. And we introduced the badges, the chambers. There's other badges the business can pick up, such as eco-friendly and value-based badges, sustainable, socially responsible. There's those badges, but the rest are chamber badges. And what our next step was to say, you know what, we want to offer this to the Chambers of Commerce, and a great discussion ensued with Chamber Nation, saying, how do we offer an integration with the Chambers of Commerce that creates this beautiful win-win of the EZBZ platform with the needs and the value to the chamber, and I'm going to discuss that more in a minute. But knowing that there's integration challenges, because tech is always a challenge. We spoke with many chambers, and technology and integration was always a challenge. We said, how can we surpass that? And the very amazing response to that was Chamber Nation, that, as you heard from Richard, takes care of all of that for you and gives you access to the widget and its value without having to worry about everything else, which is a lot of stuff. But what is the value of this partnership for the chamber? So really how we envisioned, so yes, there's traffic coming to EZBZ and you can come to our site and post a request. But the community marketplaces, the community feel is something that cannot be, people will rather come to a local marketplace, even if it's the same widget, and post there rather than come to my site. This is the fact. And the ability for a chamber, which is the heart of the city, you guys are the heart and soul of, to say, now we offer that, we are the community marketplace. Yes, we have, 100, 200, 1,000 members, but we can also, this is your one-stop shop. Let's say you want something that none of our members can offer. So you don't have to come in and only use the directory and try to see. Maybe you want, I don't know, a Hulk size 8 costume for Halloween. You could still come to our site. We can satisfy any need and become that one-stop shop community marketplace. And the way it's done with the EZBZ widget and with a Chamber Nation partnership is that if you already have a Chamber Nation's website, it can happen very quickly, very seamlessly, and you get that widget. And now you can say to people in town, hey, whatever you need, you can come post and you'll get responses, and we can promise that. They'll get responses for anything they need. Now, but the great thing is that the Chamber has businesses that are already members of the Chamber, and those businesses will always get priority. So, and when an inquiry is posted, let's say I say, tax season is coming up, my name is Shauna, I need some help with my taxes, and the Chamber has 4 accountants. Those accountants were already loaded behind the widget by Chamber Nation, and those accountants receive the request first. And an hour passes before it goes out to the rest. So they get priority, and those accountants can say, oh, I can give you this service, this is my cost, etc. And only then will it go out to the rest of the accountants in the city, but co-branded with the Chamber. So it's not only coming from EZBZ, the Chamber logo is sitting on that email. So 200 other accountants, and I'm using 200 randomly, it obviously changes by the size of the city, to the rest of the accountants suddenly get an email co-branded with the Chamber and say, oh, wow, this is coming from the Chamber. The Chamber is now offering us jobs, opportunities, leads. This is a different game, and it becomes a very interesting lead generator back to the Chamber to increase membership. And we've seen it work with different organizations and chambers we worked with that say, businesses are now calling us and saying this is a new thing that the Chamber is now offering, because we were so focused on, we're paying dues, are we getting work, some businesses, that's a very primary focus for them, small businesses. So it's a nice little ability, but take a different example. Let's say you want a roofer to fix your roof, and there's 10 roofers in the network of the Chamber. But all of them, 5 are out of town on a job, 2 of them are have reached capacity for that month, and they can't take on any new clients. And you have this a lot, especially in busy seasons, that 10 of 10 roofers can say, we can't do it this month, talk to us in 3 months. But then you have a user that is left and saying, yeah, but I need one now. I'm so happy you have so much work, but I need a roofer now. And instead of going back and frustrated from the Chamber website and saying, you know what, my need wasn't met, I'm not coming back. What if they posted and an hour would pass and, no one from the Chamber would respond, but then it would go out to the other roofers in the city, and other roofers would respond to the job, and one would get it. The user is happy. The next time he needs something else, he'll come right back. The business is happy because he doesn't think I got a job from EZBZ. And because they're part of that community, as far as he's concerned, he got a job from the Chamber. And you're in his good graces now. So EZBZ is far. I have no emotional connection to it, but I do have to that Chamber. that just sent me that client, and it becomes it's an emotional connection was created from another business. And of course, there's the revenue aspect of it. So as these inquiries are posted, the way it works that the business has 90 minutes to respond for $1, and that usually is what the chamber members will hit because they'll happen in that first hour. And then the price goes up to $3. And then, and out of this, on average, every one of our inquiries receives 5 to, I would say on average, 5-6 responses. But we have, some inquiries that received 18 or 20, in certain industries. So every one of the inquiries is generating revenue, and that revenue is shared with the chamber. So it becomes another opportunity for revenue, where the best part is that it takes no effort from the chamber. So the only effort involved in this is integration, and Chamber Nation does the integration. So ongoing on your website is all, there's no work involved. If a business has a question or, he needs help with his profile, then he would be coming to EZBZ, and our support team is always there to assist if they have questions. Many times businesses call and say, I'm on the road, I can't really respond right now, can you do it for me? So this is our support team would do as well. So we're built already to support local businesses and how they act, and the help they need and the support they need. So that's all taken care of by EZBZ, as well as a business can call in and say, I really love this. This is great. Can I buy a package of responses? So that would be taken care of by our sales team as well. And the last item is that behind all of this is sitting an admin tool with some great reporting. So you can see how many views the widget received, how many interactions, how many requests were submitted. And this works. You could look at it daily, monthly, quarterly, however it matches your needs. And you can see how many emails were sent. An email sent is great value for the chamber because, remember, your logo is on each one of these emails. And you can say, oh, this is great. We had 100 requests were submitted and 3,000 emails were sent. And you can assume that some of them went outside the network, and saying, can we see, and you even have access to see the businesses that received this email, and saying that's how these become lead generation opportunities for your sales team, and saying, okay, this is a great list of businesses that now have been introduced to another item and another feature that the chamber is offering. And of course, you can track the responses and the revenue.
Shauna, one thing on here too is that all those outside the chamber network that receive that lead, those come from these reports too. So the idea there is that the chamber can approach them and say, if you're a member of the chamber, you're going to actually have a shot at that in an exclusive way if you join the chamber. So there's nice leverage there for a membership.
Exactly. Absolutely. And again, like I was saying, especially the ones that received opportunities and responded, or even the ones that closed the job, the emotional connection to the chamber had increased from without this service. So when they're reached out to by your team, by your sales team, it's, yeah, we know, we got an inquiry, we responded, we closed the job, this is really great. And then, like Richard was saying, the pitch is, join the chamber and you'll get the priority. Businesses out there are fighting for priority, and this is just because you're part of our network. Not only do you receive priority, you receive that badge, and that badge is priceless. We see it again and again that the users, because what happens is when they post an inquiry, they receive a thread of responses, like a Facebook thread. Imagine a Facebook thread with comments. It looks very similar. And then the businesses that have the badge, like the badge is slapped on next to their name. So you're looking, you got 5 responses, 3 of them are carrying the chamber badge, or 2 of them, those are going to get the first eyes. This is just the nature of it, because you're looking for a differentiator. Or if you get 5 businesses who can meet your need and your pricing and everything, you're looking for that differentiator, and that differentiator will always be the chamber badge.
Shauna, could you go to plumaslist.com? I want to show them what their marketplace would look like.
Sure. Give me one moment.
In your screen.
Say that one more time, Angie.
I'm seeing Richard's screen. I'm not seeing anything from EZBZ.
I just put up Luma's list. Can you see it?
You need to change screens, Angie, because we're all seeing her screen.
I'm on trainingscreen.com.
Yeah, you'll have to go in again or something. But if you go down, Shauna, on this page, you'll see the widget. But then at the very bottom, you'll also see where it says View Marketplace. But you can explain this widget. So this widget would be built into their chamber website, for instance. But then when you're done explaining that, if you can go down and click the View Marketplace widget, that'd be great.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is how the widget looks and feels. So, a user comes on and says, I'm looking for a photographer for an event tomorrow. And, this is the AI is already checking the post and saying, okay, it's medium. So the user may say, okay, and my budget is $450, because the more information, you see, it has increased. The more information the photographer receives, the more likely they'll respond and be more accurate. Then I just put in my name, Sam Smith, my email, phone number is optional, and they just click at quotes. That's all the effort the user will ever have to do. This triggers our search engines to go and find the photographers from the chamber and send it to them first. Wait that selected amount of time, and then prepare the list of the rest of the photographers in the city and send it out to them. So this is the only work the user will ever do. And as you can see, it's really simple. And suddenly, within an hour, they can get 3 photographers saying, "Yeah, sure, I'm available. Call me. Here's a link to my images, to my photos. $450 sounds good enough. Whatever. Call me, and we'll close." So imagine, put yourself in the shoes of the user and how simple that is for them. And I'll go back and
at the bottom, very bottom.
Oh.
View Marketplace. You'll see the link. Yes. Now, that's it. If you go to the View Marketplace.
Okay. Here we go.
There it is. Now just scroll down. Now what you're seeing here is these are the scrollers from the premium catalogs. But if you scroll down, and you click on, where can you see all the businesses?
Here. So you have 2 tabs in the marketplace. One is the concierge and one is the directory. So we'll go into the directory for a moment. Yeah,
now this came this came from 3 different Chamber Nation system. And you can see all those businesses are preloaded. So those are the chamber members that get notified first. And what's really nice is since we're doing the traffic catcher pages for these members, we're actually making sure that the criteria that's required is actually added for the members, so that the profiles are already pre-configured and they look really, really nice.
Yeah, and that really makes a difference, because the business has 0 effort. So once this is loaded, tomorrow, if you came onto the concierge tab and said, I'm looking for a motel for my family, then the Sleepy Pines Motel would get an email and say, Shauna is looking for a motel. Have a reply button in the email that auto logs them into their account, and they just respond. So it becomes so easy for the business, and because the legwork of adding them and making sure they have now a full profile on EZBZ is taken care of, it definitely makes things so much easier.
Can I add to that? This is Kim at Chamber Nation. And as Richard had mentioned, through the traffic catcher pages, the business logos and even the About Us information, we try to push in immediately enough information so that way there is something in place on the profiles on the EZBZ side. And so also to create less work, what we do is we actually push the member directory that's in the chamber organizer, your member management system, and we push all that information on over. So then that way there is some sort of platform already established for your members. And so logo, address, contact information, About Us description, and even some categories just to kind of help get some sort of foundation for each of your businesses. And so those are already set in place once a chamber utilizes the DirectoryPUSH program. And so And then also, what we did is because the mobile number is highly important for your members receiving notification, on your member management system, there is a field there that says mobile phone, which we really highly encourage the chambers to start getting that information. And as you update that information on the member management system, that update automatically through the APIs that has been established, that information automatically gets updated on the directory push on EZBZ side. So there's no double entry required.
And I'll just add why the mobile number is so important, Kim, if that's okay. What we're seeing with the local businesses is what, for us who are on email all the time are sometimes surprised, but many of the businesses will say, yeah, I check my email once a week. I'm not on it. And they're missing great opportunities. So EZBZ, when an inquiry comes in, we can either send it via email or text message, and there's no extra charge to receive it by text message. And then they receive the full request, and they could do it just by replying back to that text message. How easy. You have to be tech savvy 0% to be able to receive a text message and reply to it. Anyone can do it. And that changes the game for small businesses. They don't have to, not only do they not have to log on onto a system, they don't even need to have access to an email. And they can just, be able to receive those requests and respond to them right away.
Great, Shauna. Is there anybody have any questions? I know we get a lot of questions about this service, so here's an opportunity to really get all your questions answered.
Richard, this is Scott in St. Charles.
Hi, Scott. Good.
Good. So how does you touched on the charge is I think you said a $1 charge up to a $3 charge. Who has to pay that? I wasn't real clear on that.
That's the member. Go ahead, Shauna. Go ahead.
Oh, the business in order to respond. So the business that receives the request, the member of the chamber receives the request.
Okay. Since
they're going to get it, they're going to get priority. So that's really they should only be paying the $1. They receive the request. They said, yeah, I can do it, and then they. But again, we offer bulk packages. For example, they could buy 50 responses for $36, which makes every response about 70 cents. So as the members are seeing value, when they come to respond, we say to them, get a package. They reply once, and they're seeing this work. They're like, okay, we're getting on a bulk package. This is good. And that lasts them for a while.
So only one person can respond and receive the business? You can't get multiple responses, or can you?
No, you can. You absolutely can.
So 3 people could respond that they want to do it, and they all 3 have to pay the fee. Is that correct?
Yes. And the odds, just so I'll share with you the odds for the business. The businesses on average, so like I said, there's 5 to 6 replies. Usually a business coming in 7, unless he has a clear advantage, like he's half price or he's he's in your neighborhood now, then he won't even respond because they know the odds are less in their favor.
Okay.
So it's the first ones that respond usually get the job. But if let's take the worst odds, the business out of 5 responses, so let's say he responds 5 times, he on average will get a job, and that means that he spent $5 to get a job. Compare that to every other platform, and you're blown away by it. You're saying a job, and our jobs start at about $100. So most of our jobs range between $100 and $1,000. We have about 25% that are posted that are above between $1,000 to $10,000. He spent $5. Today it's a click on Google, $5. And that's the difference for the business. And that's why they like the bulk packages. They're like, I spent $36. Out of these 50 responses, I'm going to close at least 5 to 10. Right. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
When businesses respond, do they see the other responses from other businesses?
They do, yes. They do see the other responses. A business can also, they do have a way to reach out to the user. The minute a user responds back, that's already private. So let's say you said you need a photographer, and I said, yeah, I can do it for sure. Can you give me more information about your event? The user responds back, and then that whole chain is off because that's all, we assume that once the user gives more detail, there's privacy issues involved, and then it goes off the main thread.
Do you have an example of that we could see what a conversation thread looks like?
I absolutely do. Is it okay, Richard, if you just take me off shared while I look for that to put that up?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Can I go off of shared for a minute while I find such a thread?
Yeah, you can do that on the left side. Do you see
Oh,
where you
okay.
can,
I see
we
it.
can't see your screen now.
Perfect. Just
we
you never
want
know
all your
what's
usernames and passwords.
No, I'm going to my email. I'm like, oh no, who knows what's there?
Yeah,
but
right.
just in case, don't want to embarrass you. But let me find a great example. And actually, this is such a great example because it really shows the power of EZBZ. And I'm going to go back to shared now.
And by the way, I use this service to find a podcast editor, and I was amazed at the responses I got. Very, very professional. Everything was done, you would expect the type of responses to come from an Amazon, but it was coming from the EZBZ. I mean, it was very, very well done, very professional.
How do I go back to share now, Richard?
You should be able to click the little arrow at the top. There's a little arrow.
One second.
I can stop the sharing and reassign it to you. If you find the little widget, no pun intended, you'll see it.
Yeah, I have it actually, but my share has disappeared.
Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, now you should see my screen. Now I'm going to go ahead and reassign it back to you.
Okay.
And I'm going to there. Now you should see the request to take over.
Perfect.
There you go.
Perfect. And apologies, guys, I should have been ready for this, but here we go. So this
we don't see your screen.
Oh.
There it is. We can see it now.
Okay, good. So the reason why I love this example is because, and I actually took it out from, one we shared with partners and investors because it happened on President's Day. And President's Day, as you know, most of the businesses are closed. And this mom from Westchester just said, I need a trim work expert. And she, this is the amount of detail we usually get. And I want you to watch the timestamps. So this was posted at 11:07, okay? First response at 11:14, then 11:17, 11:24, 11:25, 11:40, 11:24. So you see by this is President's Day. I imagine that a lot of them were doing it from home because these businesses were closed. And but they got this opportunity by text message or email, and they're like, yeah, amazing, we can do that. And this is the badge I was talking about. This is actually from one of our online communities in Westchester. And you see this badge, this Westchester, New York Moms badge. This is a badge these businesses know. It's a name they know. This is how the chamber badge would look on the request. So with my eye, the first thing I jump to is this. And this is the guy, he came in third and only 10 minutes after. And I imagine that this guy received more conversations and more. And as we go down the list, you see another one that has that Westchester badge. So these are rates and reviews that we pull in from the web, if it's Yelp or Google, if they have, and other platforms. So for some we cannot find, but still some just they can carry. This is I think an OSHA badge and others, but the Westchester is what would be similar to what the chamber badge would be. So this is how a thread would look for that user. And the additional value is that these are open threads to the world. And the reason it's so great for the business is because tomorrow these threads have good SEO on them. So tomorrow someone's looking for that, and they come in, and the first 3 responses are chamber businesses. Sometimes people would go back and post another request, and sometimes they won't. They're like, oh, that's such a great response. I'm calling this guy. And so this is just another way that's why we did the open responses, and that's why we recommend the businesses always to go open, because I go back to the first item I said, many of the businesses cannot be active on social media because they don't have what to post. Oh, I am still a carpenter. Here's some woodwork I did. Here's some molding I did. It gets boring. But this response is priceless because tomorrow someone will land on it and say, oh, I really like what he said. Let me give him a call. And just by clicking, you just click their name, and it opens their profile on EZBZ, and the profile again would have their badge, their chamber badge, and have all their information, including their phone number that you could just give them a call.
Shauna, when we push the member profile over, does it contain the badge because it's coming from Chamber Nation?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
absolutely. So when a marketplace is created for any one of the chambers, a badge is added, and then it's on all the businesses.
And
then
that's
we just
the
add
logo of the chamber that we
Yes.
put up in their marketplace. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Diane. I had a couple questions.
Sure.
What size or how do you make this robust beyond chamber members? I mean, it looks like there on the example you showed us there were 6 or 8 people that replied. Where do you go to get the data or the information to make this so that there's plenty of responses for folks, so that it's more robust than just chamber members?
So this is the core of EZBZ. Our technology is it's artificial intelligence technology. So when Melissa, this woman, posted the request, our technology understood that it needs to go to carpenters and it needs to go to trim experts. It understood on its own what its keywords are, and then it acts like this mega filter. It's these huge algorithms that go out to the web and go to every page on Google and go to every page on every other platform you can imagine, looking for only businesses. So it has criteria, so it's not Craigslist people, that picked up a hammer yesterday. No, these are businesses, and it follows criteria that they have to be listed on at least on one Yellow Page site, and it has to be, so it has different criteria that it follows and says these are businesses. It creates a profile for each one of them, pulls in their information from the web, and then pings that business. So that business right away, and like Richard was saying, you can see the businesses that received your inquiries. So if an inquiry is posted on a chamber widget, you can then see, oh, this was sent out to these 100 businesses and these 10 responded. So if this had come from a chamber business, you could see the information for all these non-chamber businesses as well that responded, and hopefully, try to get them in the chamber, or at least say this is now an extension of our community. But our technology, it's some really cool, innovative tech that was created by us because we wanted to change the game for local businesses. That as long as there's a list, someone was sorting the list, and we said it's not fair. We want them to have equal opportunity. So that's what drove this development. But it's different rules that apply. It also knows, for example, that carpenters would travel farther than dog walkers, so it can extend a radius. So there's different things that it uses in order to find the ultimate list of businesses that can meet any request.
Shauna,
Okay.
you didn't mention your background. Your background is rather extensive in this field. Could you tell people your background a little bit? I think it's important.
Sure. Absolutely. So I started my career 15 years ago in tech in a company it's an international company called Amdocs that literally controls the telecom space. So I'm a Yellow Pages girl. I build superpages.com. I worked for AT&T. I worked for Verizon. I worked all over the country on these major integrations from the old gen. You remember the black screens that moved up to these fancy CRM web screens. And so I worked with these companies for about 6 years, just really, really understanding local business, what drives it, what works, how to do transaction-based, transaction-based type of thinking. And I also then I spent a few years, this is in a different, because my core is artificial intelligence. I'm a techie, I do AI. So I got to be on an amazing program with HP where we rebuilt dispatch in New York City post 9/11. And it's funny, but I kind of dispatch the inquiries to the businesses like ambulances are dispatched in New York City. It's a very similar algorithm on how you go in radius to find the matching businesses. But that was an amazing program I was part of, which used my AI abilities. I then spent 4 years in Israel and was one of the first to monetize local in Israel, to go into the local web world and say, I was working with companies with local print newspapers that in 2008 were in trouble because they realized, the ad world is about to change. How do we get around this? And introduce models in order to help them monetize in the local space online. And from then, EZBZ was born because I was starting to work in the web with businesses, and I looked 2 or 3 years ahead, and I said, in 2-3 years, the word big data will not be as attractive. The more options we receive, and it takes us back to the value of the chamber, because the more options, it was. Imagine 10 years ago when you only knew one photographer. How easy was life then? Now you have to there's 200 that you can sift through. It's not fun. You want one great option or maybe 2 or 3 great options. This is really what we want as people. We don't want 20, 30, 40, and big data was going to start becoming a problem. And I created this solution that it's really what we call smart data, that it uses real time. In real time, it connects the users and the businesses. And we keep on talking. I mean, from a user perspective, you can understand how this concierge makes my life easier. But the businesses love it even more than the users, because what happens is, I remember when we did a pilot in Dallas, we had a business saying that he's a photographer. He's a high-end photographer. And he had this great campaign up on Google PPC, $200 a day. And he was getting clicks from girls wanting prom photos all day. And he said, all I was getting is calls is like, can you do my prom photos for really cheap? And he got so upset. He said, that's not what I want. I don't want those calls. I want high-end. And he couldn't target well enough to stop getting the non-relevant calls. And when he started using EZBZ, he said, why is this so great? Because I still get photography inquiries, maybe from that girl, the prom girl, but I just don't answer. I don't get charged for seeing it. I'm not paying monthly. So if I can't say it, I just don't pay attention. And sometimes we see responses from businesses saying, "Oh, I've been on EZBZ for a few months, and this is like I could not have. This is the perfect inquiry for me. I do exactly what you're asking for. Like if someone's asking for something like really strange, and they're like, this is what I do. To the dot, and let's connect." So it really acts as this mega filter, I would say, on both ends. The users only get responses from people who can do it, can meet their budget, can meet their timeline, so the user feels good. They only get these 5-6 responses. It's manageable. And on the business side, we're not charging them to see it. They can see it, say, not in. Imagine the landscaper who's now booked for the whole month. He could still receive inquiries. And he can say, I'm booked, unless something really amazing comes along, and then I'd hire 2 more people and take it, right? So it really allows them to manage their abilities without it being pricey or something that, can hurt the bank.
So just to follow up and make sure, so looking at the example you said, the E-Wood, McNamara Woodwork, if they were not chamber members, we would get a notification that these folks responded, and then we would be able to reach out to them and explain the benefits of the chamber and how that would help on EZBZ as well.
You don't get a notification now. You see them in your admin tool, but if you would like a notification, these are the type of things, Richard, that we can add to our list of features we can add. I have no problem with that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
This would be great to the whole team here. It things that, because as you can see, it was built like a great marriage between you guys, Chamber Nation, and EZBZ. So anything like that would make it more effective and better and can get more traction, we'd love to hear that feedback.
Yep. The thing is, people. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. I'll ask right after you.
I was just saying, this whole process for us has been about helping the chambers and the members compete with the on-demand world. And people are becoming really spoiled with their applications or mobile apps. And when they discover one that they can just simply go in and put in a little bit of investment and they get all this response back, they're not going to any other tool. They're going to stick with that tool. And that's worrisome to us. And this is why we thought this was an incredible opportunity, because now the chambers can absolutely positively respond in that real world economy. And you're not behind, you're ahead of the curve. At least we believe so.
I agree. I have a quick question, kind of in relation to the last question. In looking at an all-inclusive model for the chamber, where we're able to basically include every business in our region on the chamber. Is there a way to populate the directory listing on the EZBZ site to accommodate that?
There actually is. So that tech exists, and we could just, Richard, we can work together to show you how that can be added per chamber that wants it.
Is this
Absolutely.
Is this Louis?
It's Louis, ABQS Chamber.
Oh, hi, Louis. Yeah, you'll be working with Kim directly, and since Shauna said that's the capabilities there, we'll be happy to do what we need to activate that for you.
Perfect. And then my second question is, have you guys developed any type of marketing material that we can use to share information not only with members but with the region as a whole about the program?
Shauna, do you have that?
So we do, ranging from collateral and examples for Facebook posts and online posts to banners on a website to postcards. So what may be most efficient, Richard, is to add it to the DirectoryPUSH.com. We can create an assortment, and then you can add it there, and any chamber can download it and just change the logo or whatever. So we definitely have a whole selection, and we're very happy to share that.
If you can remember to send that my way, we'll get that integrated and then suggest how they put their own widget link in as we do the rollout. Is that kind of what you're suggesting?
Absolutely. I'm going to show you some variety, and what can end up coming from this is that we can create a whole set that is more relevant for chambers.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you some stuff I'm going to share with you, Richard, and your team.
Okay.
And in an effort to get there, because the good thing is that none of the chambers really compete with one another, right? So you guys you're all in the same boat of, so let's find this perfect set of collateral for chambers, and then we can have our designer create these templates, and then you could just, download it and have someone in your team just change the logo to match your logo and change maybe a little bit of the messaging if you want, but we'd have templates for anything from postcards to web banners to Facebook collateral, newsletter. By the way, that we have the people using us that have that have seen a lot of success in the chambers are newsletter, strips. So in every newsletter going out to users and going out to businesses, they add this strip about the marketplace, and that always generates more traffic. So if you're sending monthly or weekly, and many chambers are already marketing not only to their business members, but already have, newsletters that include users and events and all of that. So that's a great way. So that we'll include in the collateral a few examples.
Awesome. That makes me a happy guy.
Yeah.
That's our job, to make you happy.
And I think one of the most important things to me was the fact that they don't only show a limited amount of information to the members about a lead. They actually show the whole request. No, they don't see the person's contact information until they pay the $1 or the $3, depending on the time, but they do see the full request. So there's no bait and switch stuff going on in this model at all, from what I can tell.
Yeah, none of that. And that's when I started with my deck, the first sentence is local honest commerce, and that's our motto. Because the dishonesty of saying to a user, Shauna needs click $10 to see the rest. And I'm thinking to myself, that is so mean. It's so cruel to that local business who may not be able to do it and not your budget. And going back to that photographer example, it's like, you can, and you're playing with the local business because you're like, they need us, they need this work, they have no other option. So we have none of that. It is what it is. The prices don't change. You see, exactly. They all saw this entire. That we have no more information. This is what the user posted, and even more than that, when users post, plumber, our support team would call them up and saying, don't send that out to the plumber. What do you need? And add that additional information before sending out the inquiry. So they're on top of things like that. And part of that quality check you saw is for that purpose. So they don't enter plumber. They enter more information until it says this is a good inquiry.
On that same note,
this is Scott in St. Charles again. So when a business receives their first request from EZBZ, I assume they have to set up some sort of account or registration. Could you kind of explain how that works?
So this is where I want to revert to you, Richard, because when the businesses are added from the chamber, once they're all added, they receive an email that about their addition to EZBZ, about EZBZ, a welcome pack explaining everything to them, and then they can opt out. They can say, we don't want this on their profile on EZBZ. They could just close the account. So it's working the opposite way for the businesses. And when they receive...
Kim, I think Kim has some ideas on that.
So right now what we're doing is we all actually tested this out with one chamber, and what we have is defaulted when we first push in the information to EZBZ, all the member data goes into EZBZ. A welcome email does not get sent out yet, not during the onboarding process. And so once everything's set up, then what we do is we contact the chamber, let them know, everything is set up and complete, and we give the opportunity for the chamber to send out a blast email, some sort of communique that tells the members that this is what's going on. So that way when they get the email from EZBZ, they will not disregard it, and they will realize that this email is important because it does provide them their login information. And so we on our first rollout with the chamber, a lot of members were disregarding it, not really paying attention to what the email was about. So we really try to give the chambers a chance to send that email out first, and then we do it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, thank you.
Can I go back and ask a consumer question? Shauna, if the person who's requesting a photographer gets a response from someone and they go into their private conversation and then that consumer decides that this is not what they want, can they back out and then look at some of the other bids?
Oh, of course. No, what I was trying to say, the consumer will continue receiving these responses. The responses stop when the consumer closes that inquiry. So at any time they could say, okay, I'm finished, closed. And then at that moment, no business can respond anymore. We don't want to take that dollar if the consumer will not even look at that, right? So as long as the consumer keeps it open, the responses come in. What I was saying is that once a user enters the conversation, we consider anything from that point going between them two as private. And that will, you see on that thread, by the way, this user, Melissa, she responded, and I know because I use this example a lot, she responded to 4 of them, okay? You don't see her responses. So she actually had a conversation with 4 of these people. And you don't see that. You just see their first initial response. With 2 of them, she actually went, full conversations back and forth because they had questions. She sent them a picture, things like that. So that goes on. But yes, she still has all of these to her. She can contact them. Let's say one came by and gave a bid. You really liked him, but he came by and gave a bid and was totally out of your range because suddenly there was information. Think about if I need a photographer for an event, the photographer can say, yes, it's $450. But if I need a tree removed or I need my roofing fixed, no one can give you a price. They have to come see it. They're very responsible. And let's say he came and he's like, this is $2,000, and you're like, that's great, but I can't afford that. So she could go back and invite 3 more to bid.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
So I got a question. Anybody who pays the $3, they get the phone number and email of the customer? Or when
No, I apologize. There was confusion there. They do not. They pay to respond. As you can see, the businesses are putting their phone number, although she can click on their account and they can do it, but some of them are putting their phone number and their email as well. By the way, we don't share business emails either. So this business put in their email that they could be reached at. So a user receiving the request gets to drive what's happening next. So she can write back to any of them on EZBZ. So the user will see this whole list with a reply button next to each one, and they can reply back. And or they can say, okay, great, phone number. What we also went ahead and did, again, we really strive to make this so simple on both sides. So when a business responds to a user, the user gets an email and says, let's take McNamara Carpentry just replied to your request, and they see the full reply in the email, plus to contact this business, here's the phone number, or click to respond. So on the user side too, you know the user is running around getting a bid, they get an email, they could literally click on a phone number and get in touch with that business.
And you also said these are open responses, so is there a place where you can go and see all these different threads and conversations, or how does that work?
So first of all, I can share a few examples with you guys. We don't, they're public. We don't promote them on the site, but they're public for different categories. And the reason why is, you see I'm standing, so you see need a trim work experts, baseboards, and all that. So SEO traffic comes to these threads. But I can go through a list and find you some examples for different events, home repairs, and share it with Richard so he can send it to you so you can see more examples. I'm happy to do that.
Thank you.
All right. It's been almost an hour. This has been a long session. There's any other questions? Otherwise,
one last question on your app. Is that something that is customizable per chamber, or does it integrate with the chambers by location?
It's a really good question. And on the app now, it's only an EZBZ app, so all these channel partnerships are on the site and web as well. So on mobile. So if they go into it from their mobile phone, they have the same access to that marketplace. And all our marketplaces are, they're mobile friendly. So it looks very beautiful on mobile as well.
We have a hack for that. Shauna, you can tell me if it's okay or not, but we've been taking the source code for the actual widget and using the source and placing it into the Chamber's mobile apps and assigning it directly to a button so that it's very professional, looks just like a proper app. So we've been able to finagle that, at least in the chambers that have apps, and make it look professional, and it hits your marketplace first that way.
That's awesome. Good for you. Yeah, for sure. If that's a workable solution, that's very, very creative.
Yeah, it seems to look really good.
Perfect. So there's your answer that I didn't even know about. So you see how good Richard is? I mean,
no, Kim's the one behind all this. She's done a fabulous job, and so.
Yes, she has. I agree.
Well, thank you very much, everybody, for your time, and thank you, Shauna. If you have that last screen that has your contact information, or contact us, or look at DirectoryPUSH.com, there's a little contact form there, and if you'll fill that out, we'll send you the agreement. It's no charge, it's pure revenue, and we do a really nice job integrating it, and I think you'll like the result. So.
Yeah, and I'll get the 2 items that I promised, which is more examples of inquiries, so you can add to DirectoryPUSH.com, as well as starting to get together collateral examples. So we'll get that in the next few days.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you very much for your time, and have a great day, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.